Hello and welcome to Sketchbook Tour number 5. I number my sketchbooks based on the order that I finished them in, so once it's finished it gets a number. This one was number 5 that I have finished. This isn't really my main or my current sketchbook. This is like a warm-up sketchbook that I used for scribbles. Anytime I just wanted to do something without putting any effort into it, this is the sketchbook that I used. This is a arts creation. I don't remember the size of this one. I think it's 9 by 13 centimeters, but this is a smaller one. Yes, this sketchbook is Bad Art Sketchbook. And first pages, I just tested the materials that I currently have. I made some notes for the art classes that I was going to take, but I never ended up going. Some more warm-ups with pencils. My favorite thing to warm up with is these little leafy botanical things. It just really relaxes my hand and helps me with the flow. Some sunflowers. Here and there crayons, Neocolours. And watercolor. This sketchbook doesn't particularly handle watercolor too well, and it does take wetness. The page can take some wetness, but the watercolor doesn't flow and spread in the same way watercolor should. So I try to limit my watercolor use in here. Although here's some watercolor and some more watercolor. I was actually making a palette, and I just had some colors left on my brush, so that's where they went. There is not a single green in the palette, but it mixes quite a nice variety of greens. More scribbles. This is where I got a dip pen, and I was practicing ink with a dip pen. I did enjoy making the patterns. Paintbrush and ink. More ink and dip pen and a little bit of paintbrush. I did like this one, but I totally got lazy on her hands and they were never finished. But I do like Alice in Wonderland, and once in a while there will be an illustration in my sketchbooks on the theme. This is probably my favorite and my top favorite in this sketchbook. There's some gold paint on the leaves. I like it. I might redo this in a more clean style. This was all in end of September, beginning of October, and Inktober was on my mind, but I never actually did Inktober. More ink with the brush, still ink, and chickens. This is where my obsession with chickens has begun, and this is the first time me trying to draw chickens. More chickens. Me trying to use watercolor again for no reason. I was just taking some notes of something that I saw. Sometimes when I see a painting that I like, I'm not really sure what I like about it, but I'd like to take a note. So I try to scribble it in and see if it will inspire me going further. Trying different style of trees, didn't like that. A few times I glued in some watercolor paper minis that I sort of just also practiced on, and I had nowhere to put, but they were just tiny scraps of paper. So they're in here now. Pears. Another one with chickens. It's here because pencils smudge onto each other. Like on this page, you can see the imprint. So if you don't want it smudged, just suggest putting something in between. And another leaf. I did quite like this tree. I did it a few more times. Just like the lean on it, the angle on it. Another chicken. In this sketchbook, I also tried to experiment with the way I used the page. It was I kind of tend to treat my sketchbooks as one page at a time, but I want to see if I can do it more of a spread, have a theme, break it apart like in different segments instead of just using this whole space and that's it. Sort of trying to think outside of a page. This is a copy of somebody else's painting that I saw on Etsy. I will leave something here in the description for that. Bird. Scribble. Scribble that imprinted on this side, but it's okay. Patterns. Patterns are nice. Pomegranate. I love pomegranates. I love drawing them obsessively. Pumpkin stew. Some acrylics. Attempted very simple chicken. Just a bunch of scribbles. I put this here because this one is oil pastels and they do transfer a little bit and they get sticky. Pigeons. Again, just trying to break up a page, trying to see if I can do a different layout. This one was inspired by a picture of my cat. It's a mochi tape I got on Amazon. I do like the patterns, but I find that the glue on this one is not the best. It's okay. Scribbles of leaves and mushrooms. Crows. I was trying to put some of the testy papers like this as well in between to stop the imprinting. On the other side, this is from a picture on Pinterest of somebody's plant. There's nothing underneath here. There was something that I didn't like, so it was just covered with blue. And then some tests. Combination of crayons and markers that leaked through, so acrylic to the rescue. Testing a new batch of catananche pencils, catananche luminance. Catananche Neocolours, weird scribbles inspired by the inside of an onion. I'm not gonna explain that. Playing with the catananche luminance. This blue color is the like cobalt blue. Just makes me think of snow shadows, but is why this picture. Playing more with the pencils here as well. His head is unproportionately too big. Folky scribbles. I don't do faces very often anymore. I used to when I was a teenager, but I kind of just stopped. I don't know why. Picture I saw on Facebook. I used as an inspiration for this. I did change it up a little bit, but not too much. Acrylic bird. And that was on December 31st. I don't know, something about New Year's always makes me think of back to my childhood and watching Moscow on TV and drawing sunflowers. Trying for an acrylic landscape. If ended up super muddy, but I liked scratching shapes in, and I like the texture that it creates, so enjoyed that. Drawing an apple with different media, alcohol markers, pen, Posca, some kind of other marker, pencil, whatever. Picture of Canadian goose. We went to a museum and there were a bunch of them stuffed in there, and that's the one that I used for a reference. A lot of people do the blobs of paint and then see something in the shape and try that. I just like doing birds in them, but mostly like when I have paint left over in my palette, I'll just put it in a sketchbook and just do the birds. They're fun to do, for me anyways. I was watching a video on how to draw people quickly in urban sketching, and then I attempted myself. I gave up rather quickly because it wasn't working out. I still need to practice more of that. I don't know why I did a horse. I'm not some leftover ink that I had on a palette that was gonna dry anyway, so I just did quick shapes of birds. I was watching a Lee Allecton video, and I don't think I said her name right, and I'm sorry, but she was doing an acrylic painting and she did a black background, which I liked the way it looked on her painting, and I thought that I could try it going forward. So this is just a note of kind of what she did. It's a very quick scribble note. And then these are the thumbnails for what I decided to do with the dark background, and I still ended up going with a darker blue rather than a black. I don't think I'm ready for black yet. I'm testing out some koi brush pens and a couple of other pencils I got. This one was an oops, so I got covered up. Finger painting with acrylic. I don't know why, I really enjoy smudging my fingers in it, but yeah, there was an urge to do that, so that's what I did. I did a painting of that in my watercolor sketchbook, but I just wanted to practice to see the layout. I will insert the picture somewhere. Birds blobs, more chickens. These are all from references I found online. Particularly like this one, he looks angry. An upside down snail. Again, I don't know why I'm doing watercolor in this sketchbook. I had some acrylics left over on a palette, and before they dried I sort of just smooshed them in here as a fruit, something fruity. Just trying to see if I can do negative painting. I've seen a lot of people try to do it, and it always looks so relaxing, and it did not go. I tried it in a watercolor sketchbook too, and it also did not go very relaxing. More leftover paint. Practicing people in a more simplistic form. Trying with pencil first, and then trying sort of some of them with watercolor. Still working on it. Bubbles. More trees. I got the Tombow water brush pens. These are very, very nice. They're double-ended, but the brush on the other side is what I mostly use, and I really, really like them. I think I'm gonna get a few more colors of those. So that's what this tree is. I also got a couple of other acrylic colors. I got these two. Playing around with them. Trying to mix them with the yellows that I have. I'm not a fan of green when it comes from a tube or a pan, and I end up always mixing my own. I don't know, it never looks right to me when it's just in a tube. I have no explanation for this. Just trying out some patterns. I quite liked this one. I think I lifted a little bit here with foil. Not sure what I used. I also have no explanation for this page. Just trying to do some different marks, so using something other than a brush and try to figure out what marks it makes. Trying for abstract a little bit. Kind of like parts of this, like I like this part and sort of this part and kind of this part. More trees. Trying to figure out is sort of like a quick way to do the sky while also like using it to show a bit of emotion, but I don't know. This still working on it. This is the bunch of scribbles for March. I went to a drawing session with some people, some local people. We were just sitting in a coffee shop, and I was just trying to do some coffee cups and mugs while we were there, but I didn't quite like how it worked out. I tried to practice a little bit more at home. Cylinders are still working on it. Another tree. Again, trying to figure out a good way to do sky background. Not happy. It leaked through on the side because I tried to use markers. Really like this one because it's pomegranates. I haven't done a single pomegranate drawing or painting that I hated, even though there are like issues with them. I see that there's something wrong, but I still love them. I don't know what it is about pomegranates. Acrylics are sticky. Just trying some more acrylic stuff. Blueberries. These were supposed to be oranges. You win some, you lose some, yeah. Very last page. And that's it. That was the sketchbook. It's just me doodling and throwing some leftover paint in here and just doing stuff without worrying about anything or planning anything or overthinking anything. So I hope you enjoyed this tour, and see you another time.